Hello, dear friend. If you or someone you know feel constantly depressed, or even every now and then they are depressed, this video is exactly for you. We are going to talk about how we can use astrology with some psychology and concrete ideas that you can use to overcome those negative states. And the first thing which I want to bring your attention to is how you express the problem. So what do you say? Do you find yourself saying or thinking, I am depressed, or I am this and that? Or do you say, I feel this, I'm in this state? Because those are completely different situations. When you say, I am depressed, this is what you link your identity to. When you say, I'm in this depressed state, or I feel those negative emotions, this is completely different, because that's just showing the current moment you are in or the current experience you're going through. So my first advice for you is to be very careful how you express what's going on with you. If you say, I am depressed, that's related to your identity. And it's so much more difficult to change your identity. It happens, but it will really take you a lot of effort. And if you choose the second possibility to say, I am in this state, I'm going through this, I'm experiencing those emotions, this is something which you can change immediately or much easier. So my first advice is be careful what you relate to this. And you might be clinically depressed for years. You might be just experiencing those emotions every now and then. It doesn't matter. It still applies as a general attitude towards your condition. Treat it as a condition or a state you're currently in. Because you can change your state so much easier than you can change your identity. So start changing the way you talk about this, the way you express this condition. I'm in this state, I'm currently going through this, but I can change it. So much easier. And I want to share with you a couple ideas that come from NLP, and we'll find ways to connect this to astrology. And also we are going to use the horoscope to really overcome those negative emotions, this state, because depression is a negative state. That's what it is. So according to NLP, there are three major things that define your state, or basically what you experience, what you are going through. So we already talked about language, the words you use. So do you say that you are depressed, or you are experiencing some depressive thoughts, or you are in this state? So watch out for your language, literally the words you use, because that really defines also how you experience this. If you use really strong words to describe it, you only intensify the experience. So number one is the words you use. Number two is the focus. So what do you focus on? Do you focus on the things that you cannot control, the things that are not working well in your life? And let's admit it, right now in this current global situation, many people really have negative things that they may focus on if they decide to. But if you think about the other stuff, things that you are grateful for, things that are working well for you, you will change completely your focus, and eventually it will change the way you feel. And the third element is the state you are in. So literally your physiology. What do you do with your body? And in a minute, we are going to relate this to astrology. So bear with me. But before that, I want to bring the fundamental theory before that. So your physiology, the way you use your body, literally defines what do you feel. If you are with your shoulders down, you are like this, your head is looking down, and you are breathing shallow, and all of the other things that you do with your body, of course you will feel depressed. If you choose to bring your shoulders up, to breathe fully, to look up, things change completely. So the three elements we have that we can use are physiology, our focus, and also the language, the words we use. So let's try to find what we can use from our horoscope to help overcome or change this depressive state. So first of all, if you don't know what your birth chart looks like or certain positions of planets, because I will talk about those things, you can use the free birth chart calculator on my website. The link for that is below the video. So based on astrology and our horoscope, we can also find solutions. We can find the remedies or the things that we can focus on, remember focus, that can allow us to move forward, to change our state, to change this depressive state. And there are certain signs, there are certain astrology indications that may really show that you are predisposed to depression or other negative states or sadness very often. But there are other indications that we can use to get out of this state. And the most helpful energy is the energy of the fire element and the fire planets. So the fire element is the one which is about action, the one which is about inspiration, moving forward, finding your identity, listening to your true self and changing things, taking control. So we really need to analyze. Of course, the best thing is to check the whole chart and have a really deep and thorough analysis. But for starters, what I would recommend you is to check the fire planets, because they can get you out of this state in the fastest way. The first one which I would recommend is to check your Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of positive energy, the planet of growth, the planet of prosperity, abundance, success. But when I say success, it doesn't necessarily mean wealth or career success or anything material. It depends on your chart. For some people, they may really link success to what I just said. So career, prosperity, reputation, and that's perfectly fine. But there are other people who need something different. And Jupiter is one of the main planets which can show you what do you need in order to be successful. So I would recommend you to analyze the sign position, the house position. If possible, check the aspects, because they will show you what can bring you this sense of fulfillment, of prosperity, and the feeling that you are growing. When we feel that we are growing, that's when happiness and fulfillment come. Depression, on the other side, this is also related to feeling stuck. Like I am here and I cannot change it, and I don't have power and control to change it. And also the feeling that it will probably be forever like that. So it's literally the opposite of Jupiter. Jupiter is about growth, about expansion, about moving forward, about looking at the future, being positive about things. So we really need Jupiter's support in those cases. So check the position, the sign and the house, at least, if possible, at the aspects, in order to see what is it that you can do to change things. For example, I have seen in charts specifically of women, Jupiter in 4th house, in 5th house. One of the main things that those women or those people need is family. So if that's your case, concentrate on your home, doing things for the people that you love. Jupiter in 5th house, it could be creativity, it could be self-expression, it could be entertainment or hobbies. For example, my Jupiter is in Pisces in 9th house. So when I feel down or somehow in a not really good state, and I have been there in the past, currently if I catch myself to go there, I can get out really quickly, because this is also kind of a habit, kind of a muscle that you develop, that you can strengthen to to get faster out of those conditions. So with my Jupiter in 9th house in Pisces, I know that I need learning, I need some wisdom, I need some inspiration, helping other people, Jupiter in Pisces. I know that that's what can help me the most. If your Jupiter is in 3rd house, for example, you may need communication with other people, you may need friends, or you may need to learn something inspirational. Or let's say Jupiter in 10th house, career, you need to focus on your career, on the things that you do with a social impact. So try to combine the sign and the house position of your Jupiter. And you might also check the house where you have Sagittarius on the cusp. This is also what you can link success to, what can bring you this feeling of abundance and growth. In my case, Sagittarius on the cusp of 6th house. So work, work, work. That's what I need. Learning and working, the two major themes in my life. But for you, this might be related to friends. This might be related to going outside in nature. If you have some Taurus energy, some Earth energy, you may really need this. Or spending more time with kids. And think out of the box. If you have, let's say, Jupiter in 5th house, but you don't have your own kids, you can find other kids to help as well, charity work, or maybe your nephews and nieces. So think out of the box and you will find what can really bring you this sense of growth. So in order to change the depressive state you might be in, you need something to inspire you, something that will bring you the feeling that you are growing. And again, for some people, this might be in the most material and practical way, which is absolutely fine. For others, it could be more about their spiritual growth, or it could be more about their relationships or how they communicate with other people. So number 1, check your Jupiter sign, house, if possible, check the aspect, and also where is the sign Sagittarius. If you can link those, you may really find, first of all, a sense of prosperity and growth and success. But this is also what can help you to get out of this stuckness and the feeling that you cannot move forward, you have no control, and it's all happening to you. The other thing that I would recommend you check is your sun. The same principle. So the sign, the house position, the aspect, and the house which is ruled by the sign Leo. The sun, first of all, is a fire planet, so we really need the fire element to help us move forward. We need action, so that's why we really search for this fire energy. And the sun is one of the fire planets. Also, this is the planet of our identity. This is the planet that can bring you the feeling that you are true to yourself, you are in touch with who you really are, you are expressing yourself. And of course, everyone have their own rules to feel successful or to feel expressed or to feel like they're, revealing their whole potential. So check where your sun is. Again, if you don't know that, that's perfectly fine. Check the calculator on my website. My sun, for example, is in 6th house. So again, back to the topic about work, but also serving other people. 6th house is about helping, about serving. And that's what makes me feel alive. That's when I feel I can express my full potential. Your sun might be, let's say, in 1st house. So you need some attention. You need to look like you are successful, like you are valuable. So you definitely need to work on your appearance, how you look, your body, your posture, all of it. If your if your sun is in 9th house, also wisdom, traveling, or learning new things. Jupiter or the sun in 11th house, the same thing. You need some vision, you need some ideals, you need to follow this path, you need to follow this direction, or you need to spend more time with like-minded people. But if you connect to the energy of your sun, that's when you will feel connected with who you really are. People who are disconnected from their sun are the people who are mostly predisposed to sadness or feeling lost or feeling trapped or stuck or all those negative conditions that eventually can bring the sense of depression. So connect to your sun, find what's your passion, find your desires. The sun is related also to what is it that you want the most. People who have a weak sun in their chart overall are people who are not in touch with their desires. And I have clients like that, and they come and they ask, I don't know what is it that I really want. Yes, you don't know it because you are not in touch with your sun. When you connect with this energy, that's when you will feel like you are doing what you are supposed to do here. You will find your vocation, your mission, what brings you fulfillment. Things change completely. So Jupiter and the sun. And the third planet, which can also help you when you are in a state of depression, is Mars. You might be a little surprised, okay, what is Mars doing here? But Mars is actually really important. This is the planet which is related to the actions that we take. Mars, together with the fire element, is also sometimes related to anger. And if we go back to a little psychology here, it's very important to notice that depression and anger are connected. It might be surprising to you, or maybe not, it doesn't matter, but think about it. So those are kind of like the two sides of one thing. And very often you may find that people are switching between one and the other. There are people who are, for example, sad or depressed for a long time, and then they kind of get tired of it and they switch to the anger, to the active polarity. But if they stay too long there, they go back to the sadness. So depression and anger are always connected. And people who are depressed, especially if this is more like the permanent state you're in, then very often this is also because they are not expressing the fire energy within themselves, including their anger, their healthy anger, because there's anger which can be very motivational, which can help you to step up, to fight, to overcome challenges, and that's all Mars. So if you are suppressing your Mars energy, eventually this anger may also be suppressed, and it may turn into depression or some kind of more passive negative condition. Usually it's depression and sadness, and they are kind of related depending on the strength of your state. So think about it. Sometimes actually for people who are depressed, and especially if that's like the permanent state they're in, if they get angry, this is actually a very good sign. For example, if you're going through some kind of therapy, some kind of coaching, and you want to overcome your depression, at some point you might feel kind of angry. For whatever reason, you might be angry at your therapist. He's not bringing me the results that I want as fast as I want them. You might get angry at your spouse, or it doesn't matter. And you may think, okay, this is not really working for me. I'm still feeling bad. But the reality is that actually this is how you move forward. And the fact that you are angry or you feel frustrated, it's also a good sign, because you are stepping out of this depressive or sad state. So the point here is that we need to get in touch with our Mars, with the fire energy overall, but also with Mars. The same principle applies. The sign position, the house position, the aspect. You might check also the sign where you have Aries on the cusp. And if you combine that, you may really find the direction. In which area do you need to take action? Where do you need to fight with circumstances? Where you may need to compete with other people, or to be even stronger, or to be a warrior. That's all Mars. And when you commit to those actions, because Mars really needs the actions, that's when you are moving forward. So you are no longer stuck. You are no longer sad and depressed, feeling disempowered, feeling like it's the end of the world. No, you are moving forward. And it might bring a sense of frustration, something that you are not happy with, something which is pissing you off, something you are angry about. That's a good sign. Don't think that, oh my gosh, I used to be in a bad state and I'm no longer there, but I'm still in a bad state. No, it's different. Everything that changes this depressive, this negative, passive state you might be in is actually a good sign. And of course, I'm not saying that you should stay in this angry, pissed off condition too long, or that it should become your constant state. No. But that's a step forward. And eventually you're going towards finding the balance, because when you find your inner balance, you will no longer switch to those extreme polarities, either too passive, which would look like a depression and sadness, or extremely active and constantly angry, pissed off, and constantly fighting with the world. But for starters, if you can switch this to anything that's different, anything that's active, anything that is about Mars or Jupiter or your Sun, it's already a good sign. And sometimes it may look too overwhelming. Okay, so those are 3 planets and they all have different houses that they rule. So how do I make all of this work for me? Start with the simplest thing in your chart. For example, you may find that one of the planets, one of those 3 planets is intercepted or is kind of like really weak. This may not be the first choice that you should make. Get or focus on the strongest planet of those 3, according to its sign position, according to its house position. So try to be creative here. If possible, find someone who can consult you, a professional astrologer, some kind of therapist who may guide you through this process. Also a great option for you. But even if you try to do this on your own, focus on reconnecting with the fire energy within yourself. And Mars, if we go back to NLP, Mars, it's about your physiology. It's about your actions. Where are your shoulders? How is your back? How do you look like? How do you move? Are you like down, talking slow, moving slow, looking down, or the opposite? And at first it might feel like, okay, I'm pretending this, I don't really feel like that, so why even bother doing it? But the truth is that through changing the physiology, eventually you change the state. So don't wait for your state to change first so that you would behave and act differently. Try to build up the muscle to take control over your physiology. The simplest thing, your breathing, your posture, and then your state will change. Your focus. This we can relate also to Jupiter. Where is the focus? Where is it that you can grow? Where is it that you can feel successful, that you are moving forward? Also amazing. And the language, the meaning that you assign to things as well. And the Sun, this is kind of like the king of all of that, because the Sun is also the only star in the solar system. So in one way, this is like, higher position than the other planets. And your Sun, that's who you really are. And one of the common thing for people who are frequently or even constantly depressed is that they don't feel like they are expressing themselves. They feel like they're disempowered, and yeah, we can go on like that for hours. So I hope you got my point. The most important is, first of all, start with how you describe things. Don't say that you are depressed. Instead, I am in this state. but that's just now. The next minute, I may change things. Much easier than to change your identity. Again, people change their identity, but it's a longer and usually more difficult process. And then check your chart. The fire energy is what you need the most. So I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that you won't stay too long in this state, because I know that it can be very, very difficult. And if you want to learn astrology with me on a really high advanced level, you are welcome to sign up for MarStars Astrology Academy. The link is below the video. Also, I have another suggestion, or an opportunity, I would say, which is specifically for you. We are starting a very special spiritual journey, which will be focused on a very special teaching called A Course in Miracles. That's your way to grow spiritually, to connect with yourself, to connect with the divine energy. An amazing journey. It's very long, it's 1 year. It will be completely free, all of it, for the whole part of it. And we are gonna do this through Telegram. So just sign up now. You don't really need to sign up, actually. You just need to use the link below the video and just join our Telegram community. We are starting on the 15th of August 2020. If you are watching this later, you may still join us. Just trust that that's the time you're supposed to join. Hop on and we'll be waiting for you. So thank you very much for listening to this video. I hope it will help you. If you have any shares or questions, I would love to hear them. If you want to work with me on a negative condition you might have, or you need other type of support, I'm here for you. You can contact me from the links below, or go to my website, marstars.net. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.